I'm Karleigh, and this is my presentation for National History Day Junior Division Individual Documentary. For this year's theme, Conflict and Compromise, I will take you back to the 1830s in France when life and liberty were unjustly balanced and the people rose to change their lives forever.
The conflict in France in 1830 was an important part of French history. The July Revolution, also called the July Days, was a three-day revolution that took place July 27th through the 29th, 1830. During this time, Charles X was the king. He was very unpopular when he decreased popular votes in the government. When Charles and his ministers suspended the Constitution, angry mobs began to form in the streets of Paris. This revolution started because he limited people's rights to religion. Also, Paris suffered a widespread outbreak of cholera, and the poor suspected that the government poisoned the water to reduce the population. During the July Revolution, the upper middle class secured a political power that was to characterize the period known as the July Monarchy. This monarchy did nothing to combat with the working and living conditions that came to head because of the cholera epidemic. In what seemed like only a day and a night, over 4,000 barricades had been thrown up throughout the city. Manning the barricades were army units, and former members of the National Guard disbanded. The tricolor flag of the revolutionaries, the People's Flag, flew over the buildings and an increasing number of important buildings. Supporters of the July Revolution swarmed the king's headquarters, demanding the arrest of the ministers. Supporters of the Bourbon and city leaders demanding the arrest of the rioters. When they confronted the army to fight, over 1,000 people died. This revolution was compared to the 300 Spartans at the Battle of Thermopylae. After all the fighting, Charles X and his family fled from France, but was later exiled. Louis Philippe from Orleans came into power. The July column was a monumental column in Paris commemorating the Revolution of 1830. As it stands in the Bastille, Napoleon was going to put an elephant because he wanted to put a colossal bronze elephant. Only a full-scale plaster model was built. It was too expensive but never completed and got knocked down in 1840s. When the elephant was torn down, Louis Philippe put the July column due to the tragedy of the July Revolution, to the glory of the French citizens who armed themselves and fought for defense of the public liberties during the memorable days of July 27th, 28th, 29th, 1830. Louis Philippe is the one who started and finished the July Monarchy. In 1830, the politically unstable marked by the challenges to the government by the Legitimists and Republicans, as well as attempts to assassinate the king. The French government made a charter called the Charter of 1830 that states the whole reason the charter was suppressed as containing the principle of concession and taxes with that of the acknowledgement of the national power. The following is substitution of the statement. This charter of August 8, 1830, in substance the charter of Louis Philippe, with such changes as the chambers adopted in favor of liberty. In conclusion, the compromise in France did not evolve until 40 years later, with overthrow of the monarchy and the development of the government that now holds elections for the president and prime minister, the free public education, including an optional 4-year university if they qualify, and the separation of church and state. Their compromise was they stopped fighting and maintained their government. Compromise does not happen without conflict of the people, and in this case, the bloodshed of many over the course of decades.